Dobry Jutro Tubaneros. As you can see, I'm once again in the dungeon of capitalism, perhaps more than metaphorically. But anyway, this is going to be about copyright infringement. Recently, a YouTube user, Shannon's Irish Tomato, had her account suspended by Google YouTube for alleged infringement on video copyright. Another, Madame Radescu, aka the Zomgits, also had one of her film reviews challenged for the same reason, though she had that video suspension reversed. Sometimes they do mess with the wrong people. But although this is a very small example at a very micro level, it's indicative of a larger problem that users on YouTube and across the internet are facing of putting those using copyrighted material at risk of alleged infringement violation and of legal action. The first response of servers like YouTube is not to challenge the accusation, but to suspend the alleged violator at the first threat of legal action. This is part of a larger trend of privatizing the media and the cultural commons of society by interpreting the doctrine of intellectual property to put property rights over freedom of speech and of information. This is as much censorship as the heavy hand of the state. In fact, those private rights holders must use the state to enforce their privatization of information. Anti-statists tend to be very inattentive when the rights of internet bloggers and posters come up against corporate power. Now, the corporate argument has some merit, that such derivative postings detract from the audience and traffic for the rights holder. Well, aside from the fact that they usually enhance the attention to the rights holder, when properly credited, is the fact that once things appear online, it is often impossible for any individual to trace them to the original source. That's where corporations like Righthaven come in. According to the New York Times of May 2nd of 2011, a 20-year-old blogger in North Carolina and a housewife in Oregon were hit with lawsuits filed by this company for reproducing a photograph of an airport pat-down. And no matter that the photo was all over the web already, it belonged to the Denver Post. So Righthaven, contracted by the Denver Post, among its other clients, trolls the net looking for these kinds of violations and slaps suits on the alleged violators. There's not even a cease and desist notice. The company specifically targets individual users, like the 20-year-old in North Carolina, or the Oregon housewife, who do not know they violated this law or have the means to defend themselves. Not only terrorizes them into silence, but destroys their entire sites and attempts to ruin them personally with court costs and excessive settlement demands. Establishing control over the internet, even at this small level, privatizing all aspects of popular culture, has exploded in recent years. It shows no sign of abating. They're even attempting to copyright fashion. There's a company that looks up relatives of famous persons like James Dean and offers to represent them against those profiting off their relatives' image. The most notorious case is that of the family of Martin Luther King Jr. and his heirs, who have turned the civil rights leaders' words into a multi-million-dollar cash cow by withholding or granting permission to quote them. Serious academics and scholars might be denied this permission if unable to pay the fees, but there was no problem when the communications company Alcatel wanted to use Dr. King's image and I Have a Dream speech in a 2001 commercial campaign. The problem that internet users on YouTube and elsewhere are encountering may seem rather petty on an individual level, yet it adds up to many thousands of such cases. And it will continue escalating because this kind of prosecution is motivated by profit. It's not derived from any intentional misappropriation of protected property for the user's profit. Rather, it's corporate power exploiting intellectual property laws for their own profit. and monopoly control of the content of all that we see, hear, or read. Now, a knock on the phone, even here, they're following me around. This place must be haunted. Hello? You say you're Bill Gates? You want us to know you have a dream too? Well, I know what that dream is. At a century from now, people will see the face of Albert Einstein and say, there's the Microsoft guy.